Okay, now we're going to continue on. We're going to do a couple more examples with properties of negative exponents. So this is a continuation of Module 5. Module 5 continued. Again, we're still in section 5.3, talking about negative exponents. So let's do a little more, a few more examples that might be a little bit more involved. So I'm going to say simplify 4x to the 4th times 9u v to the negative 9 times 2u to the negative 1 x to the negative 1 v to the 8th. All right, so again, remember it's all multiplication across. There's no addition or subtraction of any terms. So I'm going to rearrange this slightly so I have everything that has all my coefficients together, and then I'm going to have everything with a like base together. And let's go from there. So I have my 4, my 9, and my 2. Right? So it's my first part's going to be 4 times 9 times 2. And then I'm going to gather my bases that have an x. Right? So here's one. There's x to the 4th and x to the negative 1. So we'll rewrite that. I have x to the 4th times x to the negative 1. Okay, so I have got rid of that, and I got rid of this. And then I have u to the 1, right? Because this is a 1 up here. And I have a u to the negative 1. And then lastly, I have v to the negative 9 and v to the 8th, right? So I have v to the negative 9, v to the 8th. Okay, so let's work all this out. 4 times 9 times 2. 4 times 9 is 36. Times 2 gives me 72. Here I add my exponents, right? So this is the same as x to the 4th minus 1. Here I have u to the 1 minus 1. And here I have v to the negative 9 plus 8. So let's go ahead and start simplifying this again. So I have 72, x to the 3rd, u to the 0, v to the negative 1. Right? And what does u to the 0 equal? Well, we know that equals 1, right? So I basically have 72 x cubed v to the negative 1. Now the problem is that we said to simplify. And one of the rules of simplification is that we cannot have any negative exponents. Cannot have any negative exponents in our expression. So we know how to do that, right? We know how to rearrange it. So we think to ourselves, right, this is the same as 72 x cubed v to the negative 1 over 1. So because it's negative in the numerator, what I'm going to do is I'm going to toss that guy down there in the denominator. Right, so I'm going to bring that v and the negative v and v to the negative 1 in the numerator. It just simply becomes v to the 1 in the denominator. And I don't even have to write an exponent. Right, it's understood that if it doesn't have an exponent, its exponent is 1. Okay, so that's my simplified answer. So let's try another one. Here I'm going to simplify 3 x to the negative 2, y to the negative 4, b squared, all over z to the negative 5th, a to the 7th. Okay, so when I see something like this, one of the first things I do is I just march across the numerator. If I have any exponents, I throw them down there in the denominator and make them positive. And then I go and I march across the denominator, and if I see any negative exponents, I toss them up to the numerator. Okay, now be careful. As we march along, remember this -2 only belongs to that x, right? This -4 only belongs to that y. So let's go ahead. My 3 stays up top, right? Because that's like 3 to the 1. My x to the -2 pops down to the bottom. It becomes a +2. My y to the -4 also goes down to the bottom and becomes a +4. Oops, let me write that better. Becomes a +4. And my b squared stays up top because it has a positive exponent. So now let's march down the bottom. Well, my z is negative in the bottom, so I'm going to toss that up top, and make it +5. And then I have a to the 7th. And that's it. So now I look at my expression. Every base that had a negative exponent went down to the denominator, and every base that had a negative exponent in the numerator went down to the denominator, and every base with a negative exponent in the denominator went back up to the numerator. So that's simplified. And I'll do one more. I say simplify -4 a to the -2 b cubed c to the -7. Okay, so remember, this is a coefficient. There's no exponent there. It's just a coefficient. Nothing happens to it. So I'm going to think to myself, this is the same as -4 a to the -2 b cubed c to the -7 all over 1. And again, I can start marching across, right? What I need to put down in the denominator, here I have a -2 with my a, so that pops down, and I have a -7 exponent with my c, so that goes down. So I'm left on top with -4. Just because it has a negative coefficient doesn't mean it goes down to the denominator. B cubed, a squared, c to the 7th. And I'm done.